Hi guys, this is Debbie with Debbie J's Crafting Corner. Today I'm going to be making a couple more cards using the Paint the World collection. I've already done one card using the Painter's Palette, and that was on a live stream recently, so you can check that out over here. I'll leave a link for you. For today's card, I'm going to be using the Artful Brush Die set. So to start off with, I'm going to go ahead and cut out some of these pieces. Okay, so I've got some die cutting done. I started off by cutting out the handle using some cardstock I've had in my stash. It is a wood grain. I think that turned out pretty cool. And I'm also doing a couple of the littler paintbrushes that are from the Painter's Palette set and cut those out of that same cardstock. I think that turned out pretty nice. Next, we've got that metal piece that holds together the brush to the bristles, and I'm using some silver mirror cardstock for that. Now this stuff is, I'm sure it's metal. It turns out so nice. I absolutely love the mirror cardstocks. And then I did the same thing for the other brush. There is a little metal piece that holds the bristles onto that, and again, I'm using that mirror cardstock. Like I said, it feels like metal. I am going to have to ask them specifically, is this metal or not? Because I absolutely love that. Next, I went ahead and cut out the bristles for both of the different types of brushes. And what I think I'm going to do next is I'm going to use this little paint drip piece. What it looks like to me is maybe the paint that's actually on the brush, and I haven't tried this before, but I think what I'm going to do is I am going to add that to the end of my brush in place of the bristles. But before I do that, I want to get it all inked up and colored. For my paint color, I'm using some Catherine Pooler inks, and I'm just going to go direct to paper. I'm actually using the smaller sizes because I feel that I'll be able to get, I don't know, better control. I also don't use it a whole lot, so I don't know how inky these are. I think what I'm going to do though is I'm going to start off, because I kind of want to do a rainbow-ish order, I'm going to start off with the orange on one end and then move to the side. So I'm just adding some of that just direct to paper, and then I'm going to go in with the Rockin' Red. I think that's Rockin' Red. I will leave the colors down below for you guys. And then after the red, I'm going to go in with this Fiesta Blue. I figure that the two, when they blend, will give me a little bit of purple in the middle too, so that'll be nice. And looks like this one is a bit dry, so it does need to be re-inked. And I don't know if I've got a re-inker. I'm going to have to check that out. Next, I'm going to go with green grass, I think that one's called. I'm going in with the green and adding a bunch of that down. And if you notice, I don't really like the way that this looks, so I'm going to go back in and add the colors again. Now, what I found is whenever you're doing any kind of ink blending or applying ink to paper, period, if you go in with multiple layers, usually two works, but if you go in at least twice, you're going to get much more vibrant colors, and it just looks, I love the way that this one looks. It absolutely looks marvelous. So let me go ahead and finish adding that color down, and then we can get to die cutting. Okay, let's get this put together and see how that looks with the paint swatch on there. First, I'm going to add the little metal piece on there, and whenever you cut out using the mirror cardstock, it does hold that curve a bit more, so it's almost like a little well in there. So this first one, I put a little bit too much glue down, so I'm going to have to clean that up. Luckily, art glitter glue does dry clear, and it does dry matte, so you're not really going to notice it after fact, but I did move the piece around a little bit, so now I'm having to reline that one back up. Next, I'm going to do the same thing, but do it onto the other brush. This time, actually, let me see whether or not I like the way it looks with the bristles and the paint. I'm not sure if that's going to really look like what I want. Now the bristles look pretty cool on their own, but when you cover it up with that paint color, it doesn't really look right because the bristles are kind of sticking out the sides. So I'm going to go with just doing it with the paint color. First though, I do need to add that little silver piece onto this second brush, and this time I am going to kind of blot it in that gouache so that it doesn't gush out the sides, but it'll still have enough adhesive to hold everything in place. And next I'm going to do the same thing with the little paint brushes. I'm not sure what all I'm going to use on my card today, but I figure I will have plenty of extra parts for another card. So this time I went ahead and put the glue down on the wood piece, or the wood grain cardstock rather, and now I'm putting the little metal piece on the top of that, and I think that these are starting to look a lot like real paintbrushes. Okay, let's add some color. That I think is going to look fabulous. So I'm just going to put a little line of glue down at the end of my my paint portion, and then just adhere that over a little bit of that silver on the front, because if you've done any kind of painting, which I know you have, you know that some of the paint, usually a lot more than this for me anyway, drips down onto the brush itself and covers up parts of it. So if you wanted to add, I don't know, maybe cut out some more pieces of the colors and have it all over the brush, that would be kind of more like what my brushes tend to wind up looking like. I don't know how anybody can manage to keep it this clean. Anyway, now I've got two paint brushes, one in blue and green and one in orange and red, and I think those look so cute. And then I went through some of my stash of panels that I made. So I'm picking out this one because it's got some of those blues and greens. This one was made using a stamping foam and just a surface that I've got in my house, and I think it turned out really cool looking, and I used a lot of water with this one, so it's not going to, I guess, hide my focal image, which is going to be that paintbrush. I think this is going to work out really, really good together because you'll be able to see both, but still see that kind of artsy design in the background. So I trimmed the card panels down a bit so that they would have about a 1/4 inch or so of, yeah, I think it was a quarter to a half inch of white space around that center stamped image, and then that also gives about a 1/4 inch or so around the outside of the actual panel. I decided to pop it up using some fun foam that I had in my stash, so I'm just using scraps to cover the entire back before I adhered it down onto my card base. I am loving how the card is turning out, but I think I want to add a little bit more foam. There is still a little bit of warping on here, but it does kind of have that, you know, kind of cool artistic feel. I also want to make sure this one is a top fold, so I'm going to have this coming this way, just because that's the way I want it to look. And I'm going to add a little bit more of that foam to the back. And again, this is just some scraps. So I'll put some there and then cut a thin strip to go down the handle. Because I want it to pop up just a little bit. And another way that you could do this would be to cut multiple layers of the handle and just go with it that way, and I'm choosing just to try to use up some of this fun foam. It literally has been in my stash for about a year. Actually I think it's been in my stash for about 2 years. And I think I do want a little bit more foam right below that. I mean, one of the good things with this is that you can pretty much cut it any shape that you want. Okay. And I'm going to put my plate on top just to give it a little bit of pressure while I add some foam to this one. I went ahead and grabbed another one of my panels that's been sitting in my stash not getting used, and I'm going to go ahead and add this because it's the same colors. It looks awesome. And do the same thing. I'm going to put some foam on the back of this one. And I do have some yellow. So put some down the handle so that it doesn't have this sagginess. Need to move it down just a touch. I put it just a little bit too high and you're able to see it on the other side. I don't want it to really be seen. So just a little bit further down. Okay, that's fine. And then I'm going to put this extra piece and where it's where the paint bristles connect to the brush so it doesn't have that saggy bit. And I'm going to put it in the same place on the front of this card. So this is a good way to use up some of those panels that you've made that you haven't quite decided, what you can do with them. They are artistic. They are all you. They are some awesome things that you have created. So adding them to the front of a card with a little bit of an artistic feel is, I think, an awesome idea. Okay. I also did some glimmering, some hot foil sentiments. I did some of that yesterday, and I think for this guy, I'm going to use this one. It says Happy Souls Craft. I think that is going to be perfect for the front of this one. I am going to have to foil up some more colors for the other because I didn't do any that would match. I didn't do any in red. Actually, I did do some red, but I don't think I did that one. Let me see. Happy birthday. Nothing little glue can't fix. A little gift. Get well wishes. Cheers to you. And sending a cup of hugs. So I want to do one of the crafty sentiments. So I am going to need to cut out, foil up and cut out some more of those. I mean, I've got this one that's crafty a drop, but it's in blue. I think I'd rather have it in red or orange. So I'm going to do that off camera. And let's go ahead and finish up this first card with that cute little sentiment. And since I have been using foam for everything, I'm going to add a little bit of foam to the back of this. This one needs to be trimmed down just a touch. And then as a final touch, I think I'm going to add some of these clear iridescent sequins. These are some that came in one of the recent club kits from Spellbinders. And if I can find them available on the website, I will leave a link to that down below for you guys. These do have a little bit of a pink color to them, but I still think that they are just lovely. And actually it's a little bit of that pinkish purple, so that brings in that little tiny bit of purple that is on my paintbrush. So that is going to finish up this card. I'll be finishing up the other one pretty much the same and leave pictures to all of that over on my blog if you'd like. Also going to be adding some card sketches with this design over there on my blog as well that are free downloads, so feel free to grab that up. You guys have a wonderful day, and remember, if I can make it, you can too. Have a great day.